working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, the pilots of the Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX plane that crashed last month initially took the emergency steps outlined by the manufacturer but still could not regain control. The Philippines on Thursday branded as illegal the recent presence of hundreds of Chinese ships near a disputed island in the South China Sea, a rare public rebuke of Beijing by Manila, which has largely set aside the once tense standoff. Singaporean authorities made a record seizure of nearly 13 tons of pangolin scales worth some $38.7, officials said Thursday, calling it the largest of such haul globally in recent years. The pilots of the Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX plane that crashed last month initially took the emergency steps outlined by the manufacturer, but still could not regain control.
The crew performed all the procedures repeatedly provided by the manufacturer, but was not able to control the aircraft.
The airliner went down soon after taking off on March 10, killing 157 people in the second deadly crash of a 737 MAX aircraft in less than 5 months, forcing a worldwide grounding of the model. The first Lion Air crash in Indonesia that killed 189 people in October led to Boeing issuing a bulletin reminding operators of emergency guidelines to override a specially developed anti-stall system on MAX planes. The pilots trying to regain control of the Ethiopian jet at first followed those procedures to switch off the maneuvering characteristics augmentation system, but failed to recover control, the WSJ said, citing people briefed on the crash investigation's preliminary findings. They then switched the system back as they tried to find other ways to control the jet before it crashed, the newspaper added. Its sources said the latest details are based on data downloaded from the plane's black box recorders. The MCAs is believed to have been a key factor in both 737 MAX crashes. It is designed to automatically lower the aircraft's nose if it detects a stall or loss of airspeed. Before it crashed, the pilots of the Lion Air 737 MAX struggled to control it as the MCAs repeatedly pushed the plane's nose down, according to its flight data recorder. Both the Lion Air and Ethiopian planes, MAX 8 models, reportedly experienced erratic steep climbs and descents, as well as fluctuating airspeeds before crashing shortly after takeoff. Ethiopia has said there were clear similarities in the two crashes. The Philippines on Thursday branded as illegal the recent presence of hundreds of Chinese ships near a disputed island in the South China Sea, a rare public rebuke of Beijing by Manila, which has largely set aside the once tense standoff. Control over the South China Sea is a point of regional contention because trillions of dollars of goods pass through it, and rich petroleum reserves are thought to sit deep beneath its waters. Pag-asa, also called Thitu Island, is held by the Philippines, but in the first 3 months of the year, at least 275 Chinese fishing and Coast Guard vessels were sighted in the area, the Philippines military said. The presence of Chinese vessels near and around Pag-asa Island is illegal, the Department of Foreign Affairs said in a statement. Such actions are a clear violation of Philippine sovereignty. The DFA statement said the swarming tactics raised questions about the ship's intent, which critics have speculated is an effort to pressure the Philippines over infrastructure work it is doing there. President Duterte's spokesman Salvador Panelo said earlier this week the Philippines had filed a diplomatic protest over the presence of the ships. Beijing's ambassador to the Philippines said the matter was being handled through friendly diplomatic channels. The palace on Thursday, April 4, condemned the blast in Sultan Kudarat that hurt at least 18 people, including children. According to presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo, an investigation was already underway. Authorities have, however, said extortion by rebel groups was a probable motive for the attack. The police said weeks before the blast, the restaurant's owner received extortion demands through text. Panelo said, quote, while they commit to bring the perpetrators to justice, they also continue to advise the public to remain vigilant in their surroundings and not to be hesitant in reporting any unusual behavior that they may observe to proper authorities. 6 of the injured were children aged 7 to 16. The police have blamed the Bangsamoro Islamic freedom fighters for the attack. President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday, April 4, said he was in favor of arming prosecutors. The president, a former prosecutor, made the comment in front of Department of Justice prosecutors at an event in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, as he urged the officials of the Prosecutors League of the Philippines to coordinate with the police and other agencies for solutions to protect themselves and their families. In making the suggestion, Duterte said he understood the hardships prosecutors undergo and the dangers they face when handling cases, saying his house had been strapped once. Duterte said when he was a prosecutor, he would carry a gun with him as he was not comfortable with it or without it. Duterte even suggested the use of Glock 19 pistols, saying they do not jam and were maintenance-free.
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. That you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. Murder charges were filed in court on Thursday, April 4, against Daraga Albay Mayor Carlwin Baldo and 5 others for the killing of Representative Rodel Batocabe last year. The Office of the Provincial Prosecutor in Camarines Sur also found probable cause to charge Baldo, Christopher Naval alias Tuping, Emmanuel Roselio alias Boboy, Jaywin Babor alias G, Henry Yuson alias Romel Yuson, and Rolando Arimado with murder for the killing of SPO2 Orlando Diaz, Batocabe's police escort, and with attempted murder for the injuries caused to 6 individuals in the incident in Daraga in December. The panel of prosecutors, however, dropped the criminal charges against Batocabe's driver Ramon Marbella, saying there was no concrete and sufficient evidence to indict him. More so that he was only the driver of Mayor Baldo for barely 6 months. His mere obedience to an order or instruction of his employer being his driver does not make him liable with other respondents, the panel said. Yuson, a former member of the Communist New People's Army, surrendered to the Army's 903rd Infantry Brigade in Sorsogon in January and admitted he was one of the gunmen in the attack. Arimado was tagged as the other gunman. Yuson said Baldo was behind the attack, while Naval, a former soldier, was the planner. Former Army soldier Babor and Roselio were tagged as the drivers of the getaway vehicle. Batocabe had announced he was running for mayor of Daraga when he was shot during a gift-giving activity on December 22. He was declared dead in the hospital. Diaz succumbed to 6 gunshot wounds also in the hospital. Senator Antonio Trillanes IV has denied the allegations he was behind the video that linked former Davao Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte to illegal drugs.
Tama. Ang unang principal sindikato ay walang iba kundi si Paulo Duterte.
Trillanes said he really wishes he was part of the making of the video so he could relish these moments, but sadly he's not. Congratulating those he said were behind the Ang Totoong narco list, which he said showed a witness hurling very serious, quite pointed and well-explained accusations. He said the truth was only to come to haunt the president, the former Davao Vice Mayor's father, whose pretensions, he said, were now being made public. In the video, a man wearing a yellow hoodie and who identified himself only as Bikoy accused the presidential son of using 2 code names allegedly to receive payoffs from a supposed drug syndicate. The man, who said he used to handle the financial transactions of the syndicate until he left last year, said the money was deposited to Agriculture Undersecretary Waldo Carpio's bank accounts. Carpio is the brother of Manasseh Carpio, husband of presidential daughter and Davao Mayor Sara Duterte. The video came out just as the former Davao Vice Mayor, who is running for a seat in the House of Representatives, was in the thick of campaigning. Earlier, the president and his son accused Trillanes of being behind the video, which was uploaded on the News Bolita Facebook account on Tuesday and shared in other social media. The palace has dismissed the video as mere black propaganda. The 17th meeting of the ASEAN-Russia Joint Cooperation Committee took place at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta on the 2nd of April 2019 and was co-chaired by Ade Padmo Sarwono, Permanent Representative of Indonesia to ASEAN, and Alexander Ivanov, Ambassador of Russia to ASEAN. The ARJCC was focused on the implementation of the ASEAN-Russia Third Summit's decision, particularly the joint statement on strategic partnership. It was emphasized that the summit had given a great impetus to ASEAN-Russia cooperation, which was also reflected by a broad representation of the Russia line agencies at the meeting. Both sides briefed each other on the developments in ASEAN, and Russia discussed the implementation of the comprehensive plan of action to develop ASEAN-Russia cooperation for 2016 to 2020, noted the necessity to successfully accomplish the current CPA, and agreed to develop a new one for 2021 to 2025. The meeting discussed specific ways to further promote strategic partnership, including by developing cooperation on political and security issues, disaster management, ICT security, education, youth exchanges, science and technology, and other areas. A number of new joint project proposals were adopted. ASEAN member states proposed to expand ASEAN-Russia ties in the fields of transport, infrastructure and navigation, road safety, vaccine development, biotechnologies, farming, aquaculture, and others. A special attention in this context was paid to ASEAN-Russia sport cooperation, strengthening Russian participation in the initiative of ASEAN integration programs, as well as to strengthening contracts between ASEAN and the Eurasian Economic Union. The ASEAN permanent representatives responded with interest to the Russian initiatives to promote new promising areas of cooperation, such as pandemic preparedness, IT-related consumer rights protection, and smart cities. Both sides emphasized the necessity to develop ties between ASEAN and Russian business communities. The representative of the ASEAN-Russian Business Council proposed to hold an ASEAN-Russia Business Forum in November 2019.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced, eager news, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. The newly named President and CEO of the Social Security system thanked President Duterte for entrusting her with the job of overseeing the state-run private workers' pension fund and promised to keep the welfare of its members as top priority. In a statement on Wednesday, SSS President and CEO Aurora C. Ignacio thanked President Duterte for the trust and confidence given to her in line with overseeing the operations of the agency following her appointment last week. Ignacio said she's grateful to President Duterte for the opportunity to serve his administration in another capacity. Rest assured that the welfare of SSS members and pensioners will always be her priority. As the new head of the SSS, she will be responsible for the day-to-day operations of the agency as it pushes toward a strong and viable pension fund. The good health of the pension fund is crucial to ensuring Social Security protection coverage for all working Filipinos here and abroad. Ignacio has set her sights on increasing revenue and improving service delivery for the agency's clients. Prior to appointment at the SSS, Ignacio was named as the first woman chairperson of the Social Security Commission, the highest policy-making body of the SSS, in September 2018. She also previously served as Assistant Secretary for Special Projects under the Office of the President of the Philippines and was designated focal person for anti-illegal drugs by virtue of Presidential Directive 5. At the same time, she attended to her duties as principal member of the task force on the establishment of rehabilitation and treatment centers for drug users, guest member of the Dangerous Drugs Board, and council member of the National Food Authority. Ignacio is the second female head of the pension fund since Corazon de la Paz Bernardo's term in 2001. On Tuesday, it was reported that President Duterte appointed Ignacio as the new SSS President and CEO, alongside the latest batch of presidential appointments, all dated March 28, a day before the election ban took effect. Ignacio has been overseeing the pension fund as officer in charge after the resignation of former SSS President and CEO Emmanuel F. Dook earlier in the month. Singaporean authorities made a record seizure of nearly 13 tons of pangolin scales worth some $38.7 million, officials said Thursday, calling it the largest of such hauls globally in recent years. Government agents found a shipment bound for Vietnam from Nigeria as they were checking a 40-foot container at a customs station on Wednesday, discovering the haul packed in 230 bags. A government press release read, "This is the largest shipment of pangolin scales seized in a single haul globally in recent years." Local media reported that some 17,000 pangolins were killed to fill the bags, which were packed in a shipment declared as containing frozen beef. The press release added that another 177 kilograms or 390 pounds of cut and carved elephant ivory worth about $88,500 were also found alongside the scales. Authorities across Southeast Asia have been trying to stop the rampant poaching and smuggling of pangolins, the world's most heavily trafficked mammal. The animals, also known as scaly anteaters, are highly sought after by traditional medicine traders in countries such as China and Vietnam. Their scales, similar to constitution to fingernails, provide zero scientifically proven medicinal benefit. Under Singaporean law, those found guilty of the illegal import, export, or re-export of wildlife can be fined up to 500,000 Singapore dollars and jailed up to 2 years or both. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I am one with 25.